Get ready, soldier. The jungle is more alive than ever, and Naked Snake is back with a facelift that will make you want to crawl through the undergrowth again. Metal Gear Solid Delta: Snake Eater is the remake of the legendary Metal Gear Solid 3, a game that, for many, is Hideo Kojima's crown jewel. But is this remake a virtuous mission or a failed operation? Here, I'll tell you the brutal and ugly side of this adventure. Picture this. It's 1964, in the midst of the Cold War, and you're in the shoes of Naked Snake, an elite soldier infiltrating a Soviet jungle to prevent a nuclear catastrophe. The original Metal Gear Solid 3, released in 2004, not only redefined stealth, but gave us a story that blended moral dilemmas, epic betrayals, and humor so eccentric only Kojima could have imagined. This remake, Delta, promises to bring that magic to 2025 with next-gen graphics, modernized controls, and an almost religious respect for the original. But does it deliver? Let's dive into the jungle and find out. If you've ever dreamed of seeing Snake Eater's jungle as if it were a Hollywood movie, Delta makes it a reality. Thanks to Unreal Engine 5, the environments are a visual spectacle. The undergrowth moves in the wind, light filters through the trees, and mud sticks to Snake as if he were actually crawling through a swamp. The details are so sickening that you can see the pores in Snake's skin and the scars he accumulates after each beating. The main characters, like Snake and the boss, have such expressive models that they look like they're about to jump out of the screen and give you a lesson in CQC, close quarters combat, in case you're new to this. The environments, from dank caves to corroded military bases, are so well realized that you can feel the moisture in your bones. There are moments when you stop just to admire the rain hitting the leaves or the way a crocodile stares at you as if it knows you don't have any grenades. This remake not only updates the graphics, but elevates them to a level that does justice to the classic. It's as if the jungle has been waiting 20 years to shine. If Metal Gear Solid 3 was a narrative masterpiece, Delta honors it to the letter. The story of Snake, the boss, and the Cold War remains a heart-stopping punch. The dilemmas of loyalty, patriotism, and sacrifice are so well written that they make you question whether you're playing a game or watching a spy movie. The boss, in particular, remains one of the best characters in video game history. Her presence commands, her voice resonates, and every scene with her is a reminder of why this game is unforgettable. The dialogue, with that signature Kojima touch between serious and ridiculous, is intact. From the radio chats with Major Zero to Vol'jin's monologues, everything is here, uncut. And yes, the cinematics are long, very long, but they're part of the series' DNA. If you're not ready to spend 15 minutes listening to paramedic talk about horror movies, maybe Metal Gear isn't for you. But if you let yourself go, the narrative draws you in like a boa constrictor. One of the complaints about the original Snake Eater was its controls, which already felt somewhat clunky in 2004. Delta fixes this with a modernized optional system that makes moving Snake a joy. The shoulder-mounted camera, inspired by MGS-V, gives you precise control over aiming and movement. You can crouch walk, something that wasn't available in the original, making it easier to surprise enemies without having to crawl like a lizard all the time. CQC also feels more fluid, with animations that make you feel like a lethal ninja. The best part, you can choose between the modern and classic controls. If you're a purist who wants to suffer like on the PS2, go for it. But if you prefer something that feels like a 2025 game, the new system is a godsend. Changing camouflage or using the radio without pausing the game is a quality of life improvement I wholeheartedly appreciate. MGS3's survival system was revolutionary in its day, and Delta keeps it intact. You have to hunt animals, treat wounds, and choose the right camouflage to avoid being an easy target. Broken a bone? Remove the bandage. Bitten by a snake? Use the serum. These details not only add immersion, but also force you to think like a jungle soldier. I spent half an hour hunting frogs to avoid starving to death, and although it sounded ridiculous, I felt like a true survivor. Delta isn't content with the base game. It includes extra modes like Snake vs. Monkey, where you hunt monkeys from Ape Escape. Yes, it's as absurd as it sounds, and I love it. There are also new collectibles, like 64 GAKO ducklings in addition to the Korotan frogs. Finding them is a challenge that had me screaming in frustration and jumping for joy when I found the last one. And, surprise, there's a cameo by Astrobot. Searching for him in each level is like a game within the game. These extras add replayability and a touch of humor that fits perfectly with the spirit of the series. Here's the first blow. Delta is such a faithful remake that it sometimes feels like a missed opportunity. While games like Resident Evil 2 Remake reinvented the formula, Delta simply polishes what already existed. There are no new missions, redesigned levels, or revolutionary mechanics. If you played the original recently, you might feel like you're just paying for better graphics and controls. I understand that Konami wanted to respect Kojima's vision, but a little risk wouldn't have been a bad idea. A new boss? A side quest? Something please. The enemy AI hasn't evolved much. Yes, soldiers react to sounds and movements, but sometimes they seem blind or deaf. I hid behind a box and a guard walked past me as if I were invisible. At other times, I was spotted from impossible angles, breaking the immersion. Compared to the sweaty AI of MGS-V, this feels dated. It doesn't ruin the game, but in 2025, I expected something more polished. While the graphics are spectacular, not all characters are on the same level. Snake and the boss look like gods, but others, like Eve, have facial animations that look like they're from another era. In some scenes, their movements are stiff, and the lip syncing doesn't always match. It's a minor detail, but when the rest of the game aims so high, these inconsistencies hurt. Couldn't they have given all the characters a little more love? I played on a PS5, and overall, the performance is solid, with a stable 60 FPS in performance mode. But in dense areas, like the overgrown jungle, I noticed occasional frame drops. It's not a disaster, but in a game that sells itself on its graphics, I expected a flawless experience. On PC, I've heard complaints about optimization, with some players struggling to maintain 60 FPS even with powerful hardware. Konami, this needs polishing. If you're not used to Kojima's style, Delta's launch can be a pain. The first few hours are filled with cinematics and dialogue that, while great, slow down the pace. The virtuous mission is more of a glorified tutorial than an exciting mission. I understand that's part of the experience, but in a modern remake, a little more agility wouldn't have hurt. If you're new, be patient, things get better. Not everything in MGS3 was perfect, and Delta doesn't try to fix that. Some of Snake's behavior, like the cameras recreated on Eva, feel out of place in 2025. It's not that the game is offensive, but certain touches of humor and representation reflect a mentality from 20 years ago. Kojima has always been a bit eccentric, and while I love his style, a subtle tweakment would have been welcome. Now, let's get one thing straight. Delta is addictive. Each level is filled with secrets that make you want to explore every corner. Destroy a warehouse to starve enemies? Check it out. Shoot a radio to prevent reinforcements? Check it out. Defeat the end by leaving your console on for a week? I didn't do it, but I know someone will try. These details are what make Metal Gear special, and Delta retains them all. The boss fights are another highlight. The Cobra unit remains memorable, though some, like the Fear, veer into the cartoonish. But facing the end in a sniper duel that can last for hours is an experience no other game has replicated. And yes, the most famous ladder in video games is here, with its epic music that makes you feel like you're climbing Mount Everest. Metal Gear Solid Delta, Snake Community Eater is a remake that walks a tightrope. On one hand, it's an impeccable homage to a classic, with drool-worthy graphics and controls that make life easier. The narrative remains an emotional roller coaster, and extras like Snake vs. Monkey are a charming nod to fans. On the other hand, its faithfulness to the original makes it feel conservative, and the technical and AI glitches are like thorns in a perfect jungle. If you're a fan of the series, this is a nostalgic throwback that will make you smile like a kid. If you're new, prepare for a unique, if somewhat slow-paced, experience. It's not the most ambitious remake, but it's a love letter to Snake Eater that respects its legacy. So, ready to infiltrate? Grab your camouflage, avoid the crocodiles, and prepare for an adventure that, despite its stumbles, remains brutal.